Okay, so this video is for honor students in ninth grade physical science. Make sure you've watched the basic metric conversion video that I also made for y'all to watch before watching this one. Okay, so there's kind of two things I'm going to expect from honor students, kind of above and beyond basic metric conversions. I'm going to expect you to be able to convert units when you have units in both the numerator and denominator. So like if you have 12 meters per second, that you could convert that into kilometers per hour. Okay, so you have units in both the numerator, up like meters, and in the denominator seconds, and you'll need to convert the meters into kilometers and the denominator unit of seconds into hours. Okay, so that's what I mean by point one. So you'll be expected to have to be able to do that. And then the second thing that I'm going to expect you to be able to do is to convert when you have units that are squared or cubed. Okay, so for example, converting, like, let's say you had 4.5 square meters, I would expect you to be able to convert that into square centimeters, okay, or square millimeters. So like square, this could be an area, right? Okay, or cube, this could be, we're looking at some sort of volume. Okay, so we're going to do a couple examples, and we might as well just do the examples that I kind of have drawn out on the screen. So for the first example here, an example of converting with both units in the numerator and denominator. So let's say I asked you to convert 12.0 meters per second into kilometers per hour. Okay. Looking at this, I want to write out basically what I know. How do these units relate to each other? Okay, I can either look at my conversion chart for the meters to kilometers, or I can kind of know that kilo means 1,000. So when I'm looking at my numerator units here, the kilometers and the meters, I know that there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Okay, that's kind of my definition of what kilo means. That prefix kilo means 1,000. Okay, and then when I look at seconds and hours, okay, I may know that there's 3,600 seconds in an hour, but let's say that I forgot. I definitely know that there is 60 seconds in 1 minute, and I know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. Okay, so that can get me from seconds to minutes and from minutes to hours. Okay, but the trick here is that I have units both in the numerator and in the denominator. Okay, so the way I want to start this problem is I want to write it out as sort of like a fraction. Okay, so I know 12 meters per second. That means that I travel 12 meters in every 1 second. Okay, so you see how I've written it with my meter units in the top of my fraction and my second units in the bottom, and I've added a 1 there in the denominator, because basically that's what 12 meters per second means. It means 12 meters are traveled in every 1 second. Okay, and I am going to first attack my meter units and try to get my meter units to turn into kilometers. Okay, not going to change the amount, I'm just going to change the units. Okay, so just like in the basic unit conversion video, like I showed you, these are special forms of 1 that we call conversion factors. And if we multiply by 1, we're not changing the amount, but this is a special form of 1 that will allow us to change the units. Okay, so I want meters to cancel, so I'm going to put meters in the denominator. Okay, and I know that there's 1,000 meters in every 1 kilometer. Kilometer is the units in the numerator that I want to have here in my answer. Okay, so there is my first conversion factor, and that has taken care of canceling my meters and getting me to kilometers. So that's fabulous. Now I have the correct units in my numerator, but I am not done yet. Okay, I need to use more conversion factors because I need to fix this denominator. I want the seconds to instead be reported in hours. Okay, so I'm going to add another conversion factor here. Okay, well, I said that for some reason I forgot that there was 3,600 seconds in an hour. So I did remember, though, that there were 60 seconds in a minute. So my seconds I want in the numerator, and I put seconds in the numerator, and there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. Okay. And that will cancel my seconds. And now I'm in minutes in my denominator. Okay. But that is not quite done because I actually want hours in my denominator. So I know I can cancel minutes and get to hours by writing down that there's 60 minutes in every 1 hour. Okay, so then my minutes cancel, and now if y'all look, I'm where I need to be. I want kilometers in my numerator and hours in my denominator, so that's great. I can write my equal sign. Okay, once I write my equal sign, what I do is this is just multiplying fractions together. Okay, so when I multiply fractions, I multiply everything in the numerator, and then I multiply everything in the denominator, and then I divide the two. Okay, so I'm going to multiply everything in the top. 12 times 1 times 60 times 60. Okay, multiply everything in the bottom. Well, 1 times 1,000 times 1 times 1. Okay, and when I do that on my calculator, I multiply my numerator and I get 12 times 60 is equal to 43,200. And then in my denominator, all I have is 1,000 times 1. So I divide the two. Okay, and I get 43.2. And my units are kilometers per hour. Okay, so I write it down with my units of kilometers per hour. Okay, so I'll zoom out so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so that's the first example, converting when we have units in both the numerator and denominator. Okay, the second thing I'm going to show you in this video is how to convert when you have a squared or cubed unit. Okay, so the example that I want to go through here for number 2 is, let's say you have 4.5 square meters, and for some reason you wanted to report that area in square centimeters. Okay, so I start very similarly. I need to figure out what conversion factors I know. What's the relationship between meters and centimeters? For right now, I'm going to kind of ignore the fact that there's a squared. I know that centi here means 100, so I know there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay, so that's my conversion factor. Okay, so I write down what I was given. I was given 4.5 square meters. I underline it. Okay, because I'm going to use a conversion factor, I kind of got to turn this into a fraction, put a 1 underneath. Okay, and my conversion factor here that I'm going to use, I know there's 100 centimeters, so I want centimeters on the top because I'm trying to get to centimeters. 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Okay, but my meters are squared. So if I only do that one time, I'm actually only going to cancel. I'm going to still have meters in my numerator. So I actually need to do this twice. I need to kind of square it. So 100 centimeters over 1 meter again. And now I will cancel both of my meter units. And I'll be left with centimeters squared because I have centimeters times centimeters. Okay, so what I end up doing, I multiply everything on the top. I have 4.5 times 100 times 100 over 1 times 1 times 1. Okay, so I end up with 45000, so 45,000, and my units are centimeters times centimeters or centimeters squared. Okay. Let's do one more example with this. Let's do a cubed, and I'll show you kind of an alternate way to do this so that you don't have to actually write the conversion factor 2 times. So let's say we had 3 cubic millimeters. So now we're dealing with a volume, and I'll put 3.0. 3.0 cubic millimeters, and so this is example 3. And I wanted to report that instead in cubic centimeters. Okay, I need to figure out my relationship between millimeters and centimeters. Well, there are 10 millimeters in every 1 centimeter. Okay, so that's going to be my conversion factor. So I write out what I'm given and underline it. 3.0 cubic millimeters over 1. Ooh, I'm gonna redraw that line. I want it to be kind of straight. Okay. And then my conversion factor is 10 millimeters. Millimeters go in the denominator, so they'll end up canceling over 1 centimeter. Okay. Instead of I could just do this 3 times and write this conversion factor times and then do it 3 more times. Or I can also cube it. Okay, cube my conversion factor. That basically says I'm going to use this 3 times. I'm going to multiply by this 3 times is what my cube tells me. Okay, so then I have to remember to cube everything inside parentheses. So every single thing here needs to be cubed when I do my multiplication. So I have 3.0 millimeters cubed ends up being canceled with the millimeters cubed in the bottom. I have times 1, times 1, times 1. Okay, so it's cubed 3 times. Divided by, well, I have 1 times 10 times 10 times 10. Or I could just write 10 cubed. Okay, so when I do that, I end up dividing 3.0 divided by 1,000. Because when I multiply 10 together 3 times, I get 1,000. And so my answer in centimeters cubed is going to be 0.003 centimeters cubed. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful. On your homework assignment, you are going to have to be converting units where you have an area or a volume. So you have squared units or cubic units. And then you also have on slide 25 in your e-notebook, you have a problem where you're going to need to convert with units in both the numerator and the denominator. Please let me know if you have any additional questions. You do have slide 26 that you're going to need to do as well. Please reach out if you have any questions.